The evil presence has been lifted.
After our bloody journey through the Horde, we finally made it to the lobby of the town's government tower. I tossed Daniel a walkie-talkie and he went to scout up ahead. "So what's the plan?" Dodger asked. "Since we're here to rescue a group of non-combatants, I think we should stress caution," I said. "So we're going to move on, all quiet, like, right?" Nicole asked. "I think that's the best course of action. We'll make our way to the leaders and hold down the fort until the Horde finishes passing through," I said. Just then, the radio went off. Daniel whispered through the line, "Hey Dad, there are a few wanderers up ahead, but..." He cut himself off. "But what?" I asked. "I don't think they're alone," Daniel had said. Nicole took the radio from my hands and spoke into it. "Hey kid, are you trying to tell us you see the hostages?" she asked. "No, not quite," Daniel whispered back. "What do you mean?" Nicole asked. "Well, wait, hold on," Daniel whispered. I took the radio back from Nicole. "What was that?" I asked. "Someone's coming," Daniel said. "Who?" I asked. No response. "Daniel, do you see the prisoners?" "Daniel," I shouted. Still no response. "What's the call, boss?" Dodger asked. "My call is the only one I can make. We're going in," I said. "Quiet like?" Nicole asked. "Whatever it takes," I said. "That's more like it," Dodger said. We went up a few floors where Daniel was supposed to be. That's when we encountered an enemy that was far from what we were expecting. An armed man walking around in a wanderer-infested building. He was no leader. This man was an invader. We'd soon discover that this incident went deeper than anyone had expected. "There wasn't supposed to be anyone else here," I said. "Looks like things just got a lot more complicated," Nicole said. "Never mind, we've come too far. We have to complete the mission and find Daniel. Let's go," I said. It took a lot of hard fighting, but we managed to reach the top where the town's leaders were supposed to be. They weren't there. Dodger pointed to a nearby door. It had swung open. We went through it. The door led to the roof. Another group of bandits had brought the leaders up to the roof. We weren't sure what was going on at the time, but the bandits were planning to kidnap the leaders. Daniel had been gathered up as well. They probably thought he was their son, one of them. One turned and spotted us. There was no turning back now. We'd almost won. Things were looking up when we heard the sound of a helicopter come by. That's when I first saw him, the leader of the bandits. The helicopter landed. Gunfire from the copter's minigun forced us into cover. "Get them on board quick," the leader said. The people were pushed on board, including Daniel. I wanted to call out, but I feared to make our connection known would doom him. I was forced to watch those thieves fly away with the city leaders and my son. If that weren't bad enough, the helicopter was loud enough to draw the attention of the Wanderers. We had a lot of fighting to do if I ever wanted to save Daniel.
It doesn't even feel like the same world. It doesn't even feel like the same world. the world. Let's do some hunting. Isn't over yet. Now that the place is clear, let's grab the loot and head out.
We finally arrived at Otto City. Nicole said that she knew an old contact here, a man by the name of Horus, who ran a rather unique establishment. A gentleman's club that offered the finest in female wanderers for its disturbed client base. Dodger winced, seeing the customers fawning over the chained wanderers with the rotting, undead flesh flaking off. "I hope you're right about this guy," I said. "Don't worry, helicopters are pretty rare these days, especially for bandit groups. These guys must be some serious players in the underworld. If anyone knows anything about these guys, it'll be Horus," Nicole said. We walked in, past all the freaks and the monsters. We barged into the back room where Horus was staying. He looked surprised. "What the hell are you people doing in my office?" Horus shouted. I turned to Nicole. "I thought you told him we were coming," I said. Nicole shrugged. "I'd forgotten to charge my cell phone," she said. "Ah, I see. Well, that's just a shame." "Oh well," I said. "Now see here, Nicole, I don't care who you are. You three better explain why you're here right now or I'm calling the guards," he said. Nicole looked at me and I looked at her. Dodger cleared his throat. Then Nicole grabbed a gun and pointed it at Horus. "We just waded through a lot of wanderers, mate. We collected a lot of blood, so we got plenty of ammo to go around," Nicole said. "We don't want much, just a little information. Get it?" I asked. Horus grimaced and didn't say a word. I looked down and I saw that he had a control box in his hand. "Nicole, hold on!" I was cut off when Horus tapped a button on the control box. Then the lights went out. Screams were heard outside. When the red backup lights turned on, Horus was gone. "Son of a..." "The little rat got away," Nicole said. "Well, let's get after him," Dodger said. Then we heard a familiar sound. "Wait, what's that?" I asked. "No, it can't be," Nicole said. "Sounds like wanderers to me," Dodger said. "He must have freed the wanderer population he had locked up," I said. "Coward," Nicole said. "What's the plan, boss? Fight or run?" Dodger asked. I paused a second. "Come on, let's go," I said. We ran ahead in search of Horus, cutting through the wanderers as we did. We finally found Horus hiding in the basement of the club. He'd been attempting to escape through a secret exit. He might have escaped clean, but we got to him first. "Wait, hold on," Horus said. Nicole wasn't hearing any of it. It didn't take long for the little weasel to tell us everything we wanted to know. Old Creek Prison. The same bandits who kidnapped Daniel had supposedly set up an outpost there. Horace mentioned that we might find clues to the location of their main base inside. Then Nicole let Horace go. We'd soon learn that was a mistake. It wasn't an escape door Horace was trying to open, it was a cage. When Horace escaped our grasp, he managed to open it, and inside was a horrifying abomination. A giant mutant wanderer pumped up with drugs to make it stronger than normal. Standing over 7 feet tall and built like a tank, we were in for one hell of a fight.
Let's do some hunting. Keep sharp. There are probably traps everywhere. I'll keep getting better, and protect everyone. Guess it's time to collect some more loot. Got hurt badly. I feel strong. stronger already.
Old Creek Prison was fairly large. It was almost staggering to think. How powerful were these people that an entire prison only served as an outpost? Not the best thought to hold in your head when you're getting ready to fight a dangerous enemy. When we got there, the prison was surrounded by a fence, and the place looked fully stocked with bloodthirsty thugs, all of them armed to the teeth. Assaulting the prison head-on would be suicide, but Dodger had come up with the perfect plan. Or at least our only plan. Easy. I sneaked down there and cut the fence, Dodger said. Nicole crossed her arms. You suggesting the quiet approach for once, she asked. Dodger chuckled. No way. The opposite, in fact. What do you mean, I asked. I cut the fence, then we toss over a few grenades, draw in a few wanderers. We'll use the same tactic they used back in the city, Dodger said. You mean using the wanderers as a distraction so we can move in, I asked. Exactly, Dodger said. Nice idea. Didn't know you had it in you, Nicole said. No one and nothing keeps me from a good fight. If I've got to use my brain a little more to do it, then so be it, Dodger said. Well, let's get to work, shall we, I said. Dodger went down to cut the fence. We threw the grenades over and ducked into cover. The guards came out to inspect what had happened, to see a horde of wanderers fighting their way through a hole in the fence. The prison erupted into chaos. Our opening came up, and we rushed into the building. When we entered the last room, we found the stairs that led up to the warden's office. The office itself could be seen from where we were. The prison's boss was looking down on us from the catwalk above. Who the hell are you people? He shouted down at us. We're here for your boss, Dodge said. Yeah, well, he ain't here, said the boss. We know. We're here to beat the information out of you, I said. The bandit boss smirked and folded his arms. Well, you can all try, the boss said. He hit a big yellow button next to him and several doors opened up. Bandits and wanderers from the battle outside started coming through. The boss himself had gone off and armed himself with a rocket launcher. Not your average weapon these days. Not even your average weapon in the old days. You want to beat answers out of me? Well, let's start the interrogation, the boss shouted. After all that, the boss man couldn't help but tell us everything we wanted to know. He pointed us to a pile of papers on the warden's desk. We searched through it and came up with one name, West Fire. We turned back and walked back into the fighting still happening outside.
This place has a foul stench in the air. It's unlike anywhere I've ever been. These souls can finally rest. Oh no! stronger already.
Westfire was the name of an old military base a few miles away from the prison. Their leader, the man from the helicopter, the man who took Daniel and orchestrated the kidnapping of almost the entire government of Alderna. That man went by the name of Mason. According to the information we recovered from Old Creek Prison, it gave us a glimpse into the mind of this madman, and it was a little disturbing. Mason had charisma, a strong command over his underlings. He likely planned to hold the leaders captive for a ransom. Or maybe he wanted to keep them, use them to gain control over the town. Who knows? My only worry was how Daniel was being treated. Whether Mason knew he was my son or not didn't matter. He wasn't exactly a leader. He wasn't any use to Mason at all. How long until Mason used him as an example? Somewhere between Old Creek Prison and Westfire Military Base, we came across an abandoned ghost town. During these trying times, empty towns were a pretty common thing to run into. Normally, they were just good for a night or two of free shelter and maybe some old canned goods if you were lucky. This time though, things felt different. Nicole and Dodger were feeling it too. There weren't many wanderers around, but something still felt off. As if there was a hidden danger lurking about. As if we were being watched. That's probably because we were. We stopped in the middle of the road. We looked up. A number of bandits had taken position on the rooftops around us. Walked right into this one, Nicole said. Someone must have escaped the prison to warn Westfire, I said. Well, it's not like we were doing damage control. For all we know, whole groups of guys escaped to warn their boys at the base, Dodger said. Well, let's get to work, I said. The bandits took aim and the fight began. Last man standing. More like last man alive. He looked up at me and laughed. Laughed through broken teeth and a mouthful of blood. He had a camcorder in his hand. He'd hit play and the screen was playing a video. My heart skipped. It was Daniel. They had him tied up. A sign was tied around his neck that read, "Your son." Mason was next to him, smiling. A knife was firmly gripped in one hand. Then the movie ended. The last bandit died, and that's when we felt the ground shake. We looked up. A whole convoy of vehicles rolled into town. The ambush was just a stalling tactic. There were 4 altogether. One armoured truck with a turret mounted on top. The other 3 trucks were transports. 2 of them held groups of wanderers that they pushed our way. The last held another monstrosity. A strange beast with one amputated arm that had been replaced with a chainsaw. They all came at us. Then the battle began.
This is terrible. This place has a foul stench in the air. mind and spirit for a deathly blow. Let's do some hunting. Wasn't it obvious we would win? Stood a chance.
Westfire was a fortress, armed to the nines with turrets and guns and riddled with bandits. The Wanderers had been cleared out. There was no repeating the tactic we used at the prison. It wasn't going to work this time. This time, we were going to have to get a little creative. We drove the captured armored truck up on a hill overlooking the base. "Everybody ready?" Nicole asked. "Sure am," Dodger said. "You sure? Once we do this, there's no turning back. The whole base is going to come crashing down on us," Nicole said. Dodger smiled. "Never been more sure," he said. "Buckle up. Things are about to get real," I said. Nicole stepped on the gas. The engine roared and the armored truck screeched down the hill, across the ground to the base, and smashed through the walls of the military base. The whole base went on high alert. We'd all taken cover in the truck. It didn't take long before the sound of bullets bouncing against the truck's metal shells started filling our ears. "Deep breath, everyone," I said. "Once we start, don't stop until the job's done," Dodger said. "Let's get Daniel back," Nicole said. With that, all three of us burst out from the inside of the truck to face the gathered men outside. The fight began. When we made our way to the next room, we had an unexpected surprise waiting for us. The hall was filled with Wanderers, and at the center of them all was a bloated monstrosity armed with a large sword. "How many of these things do these guys have?" Dodger asked. "Why, you getting nervous?" Nicole asked. Dodger scoffed. No way. Just wondering, that's all, he said. Well, stop. You can think later. Kill now, I said. Yes, boss, Dodger said. The beast turned towards us and let out an ear-shattering howl. The Wanderers started heading our way, and more seemed to be coming in from the open doors set at the opposite end of the hall. Here we go, Nicole said. The monster was dead, but the Wanderers were still coming in. We had to fight our way through if we were going to succeed in saving Daniel and the others. The way was blocked by a bandit fitted in thick armor and carrying a large shotgun. You're a lot more trouble than you're worth. I'll give you one last chance. Turn around now and maybe we'll keep your son alive, the bandit said. I knew right then that was a lie. For all I knew, Daniel could have already been killed. Either way, I knew leaving wasn't an option, not anymore. Maybe it never was, but even if it had been a choice, I'd never have taken it. Nicole and Dodger readied their weapons and gave them the signal. We charged the armored bandit and gave him all we had.
Are you even there? I could be out treasure hunting right now. Hurt badly. Why aren't we going anywhere? Mind and spirit for a deathly blow.
Mason was standing at the end of the next room. Along with him were the hostages and Daniel. Welcome. What took you so long? I was starting to think my underlings were proving to be a little too much for you, Mason said. Let the hostages go, I said. Mason smirked. You didn't think that would actually work, did you, Mason asked. No, I guess not, I said. You're outnumbered, Dodger said. Give up and maybe we'll let you live, Nicole said. I don't think so. I'm sorry, but this isn't going to be quite so easy. You three have caused considerable damage to my operation. There's no question as to whether or not you're going to die today. The question is, how much pain will you suffer before then, Mason said. A group of armed bandits came rushing in through the door behind him. Careful, don't want to tag a hostage by accident, Nicole said. I pulled the trigger and the firefight began. Wanderers started coming in through the door behind us. A few more bandits came through the door ahead of us. Sometime during the fight, Mason took Daniel and headed out the same door bandits were coming through. I fought my way through and chased after him. I reached the roof where Mason was waiting. He had an arm around Daniel and a knife to his neck. You fool. Have you ever asked yourself why we did all this, Mason asked. Money? Power? I don't care. I'm still gonna kill you. Now let go of my son, I said. Tell you and your friends to leave, and I promise not to kill him. Oh, I'll keep him with me, of course, just to make sure you don't end up interfering with our plans ever again, Mason said. And if I don't, I asked, then I kill your son. He's nothing to me after all, Mason said. Just then, I heard a gunshot. The bullet hit Mason, wounding him and forcing the bandit leader to let go of Daniel. Get out of here! Join the others downstairs, I shouted. Daniel looked confused for a moment and then obeyed. That left just me and Mason. It wasn't going to be pretty. I had Mason on the edge. One more step back and he'd fall to his death. I thought it was over. I thought wrong. Take two, hero, Mason said. The helicopter from before returned, just in time to pick him up. Already the copter's miniguns were charging up to fire. The helicopter went crashing to the ground below and it erupted in a fiery explosion. I peeked down at the ground. Everyone was dead, including Mason. Nicole had come up. She told me everything. The bandits were in retreat and the last of the Wanderers were being taken care of. The hostages were safe. Now could begin the journey home. At least, that's what we thought.
I don't understand. Are you even there? Better and protect everyone. This place has a foul stench in the air. Keep getting better and protect everyone. Right in the sweet spot.
Daniel greeted me with a hug. I smiled at him. Nicole and Dodger helped gather up the hostages. We were readying to leave when we heard footsteps approaching. Someone was on their way here, and it wasn't anyone on our side. At first, we thought it might have been a group of bandits returned for another attack, but it wasn't more bandits. Nicole and Dodger had readied their weapons, but the man who turned the corner was none other than Cress, leader of the hunting party. We were all shocked. Why was he there? How was he there? He had a few members of the hunting party following in his wake. Cress? What are you doing here? I asked. Cress looked round and then eyes the surviving hostages. I came to check for survivors. I had my doubts there would be any, but it would seem you managed to save everyone. I'm impressed, Cress said. How did you know where to find this place? We had to crack open a prison to find this place, I said. Isn't it obvious? Cress asked. It was him, Nicole said. Nicole? What do you mean? Dodger asked. How else would the bandits know exactly when and where to strike the meeting? They needed someone on the inside giving them the information, Nicole said. So then, this was the plan all along? You wanted the leaders captured in order to seize power? But why hire us, I asked. Simple. I knew your group was the best. I wanted to use you to weaken the bandit group so my people could wipe them out later on. Though I have to admit, I never dreamed you would do this well. Too well, Cress said. What do you mean, too well? Dodger asked. My plan was to have the bandits capture the leaders and then use them as leverage over us. I would play the reluctant leader who pays for a group of mercenaries. Then once you were dead and the bandits were weakened, I go in and finish off what was left, killing off the leaders too, of course. I would return saying they all died tragically during the rescue attempt, but fear not, my people, I will lead you into a bright new future, Cress said. You're a monster, Nicole said. Not so. Too long have the hunters been looked down upon. My hunting party is vital to our survival, yet we're treated like vermin. So I only did what we should have done a long time ago. I placed the hunting party in charge. Why? Because we deserve to be in charge, Cress said. Enough of this. You want to kill us so bad? Come and get us, I said. I took aim and fired. Cress ducked out of the way and fled the room. Nicole, Dodger, Daniel and I made the hard fight to the bottom floor. We blasted through the hunters, protecting the city leaders as we did so. Cress was a hard battle. Even in a group he was difficult. He knew how to hide, how to sneak up on us. But in the end, he ended up dead just like everyone else who crossed us. The rest was easy. The leaders were returned safely to Alderna, Daniel was with me again, and the world was a little brighter.
This place doesn't look too friendly. The world's going to end, but you know, it's fine. We can just sit here. In a sweet spot. This place has a foul stench in the air. Isn't over yet. just keeps getting better. There will be plenty of time for meditation when the evil has been cleared. What do we do now? Over yet. My blade is ready. Be invincible. Just need to reload, and I'm ready to go. This place doesn't look too friendly.